Hello, this is zwlemon, commenting on my match with amoffett11 in the 2022 Consolation bracket. This is going to be post-commentary, meaning that I have going to commentate on the match after it happened, so I already have the video recorded and will be posting some commentary afterwards. So just a little bit before I get started, my opponent amoffett11 is kind of a seasoned veteran of the game. He's been around for a while. And in 2019, he actually made the top 8 of the regular Shuffle IT bracket, So there's a regular bracket and a consolation bracket, and amoffett11 in 2019 made it to top 8 in regular brackets. So this was going to be a very difficult opponent to beat, and it was a very hard fought set, but it is also a set that I'm very proud of. And with all that out of the way, let's get right to it. Alright, so our first game involves kind of a Defiled Shrine board. You'll notice that there's VP tokens on every action on this board, so that's going to be kind of important later on, but basically what happens is every time someone buys a card from that pile, for example, I buy a plaza for instance, the VP on that's going to go down a bit, so that's going to be pretty important because those points are going to pile up on the Defiled Shrine mat, and to gain those points, you have to buy a curse. So as me and my opponent keep buying cards, we're going to build up the points for the Defiled Shrine. Anyways, I have a 3-4 opening right now, so I decided to go for a silver here. Probably thinking that I want to get Modify and I want to get Artisan, really wanting to hit some big targets here. Now for my 4 options, they're pretty obviously, I'm going to want a Militia. I think definitely here Militia is going to be stronger than either Plaza or Monument or Second Silver. The only thing I was thinking about was if am I going to get a Monkey, which is going to be great for draw. Now the reason I didn't get a Monkey here is because I knew it would have clashed with my Militia, so I decided to just get a Silver instead to play it safe. So anyways, you see there I play Militia and I get a 5, so I use that and play a Modify here. So I think a pretty good turn 3 draw, I'd say. So yeah, now it's turn 4 for me, and let's see. I'm kind of contemplating here between Monkey and Plaza. Plaza will give me some nice terminal space for, when I start getting other terminals, such as maybe Militia or maybe a second modifier. Really, Artisan's what I'm thinking about right now. And Monkey, of course. Monkey's just going to be a great card here. So yeah, my opponent gets a Modify, so makes sense. Really one of the only trashers here on the board. Technically Miner, but Miner is not going to be great here. So yeah. I get a Monkey, and I'm just debating if I want the Defiled Shrine points, but I am going to go for the Defiled Shrine points here, specifically because it's almost like getting a Province, and actually it's a little better because I can essentially trash the Province almost, So I can trash that with a Modify pretty easily, so I really think that really benefited me and gives me an early points lead, which I'm very happy about, which is very good also with a turn 1 advantage. So here I have 6, and I definitely want to get an Artisan here because I can really be useful for getting other, 5s. I'm thinking about getting a second Modify because I am very fond of going for the Defiled Shrine points here. So a second Modify will help me to thin my deck a lot more, especially when I'm putting some junk into it. So kind of a fan of that. And also, it will be good for, storing up plazas just for building up coffers and terminal space. So my opponent's going Moat here. Definitely trying to do some Moat plaza-based draw, which I think it's a pretty good idea. Considering the only other draw on this board is Monkey. So here I have a tough decision to make. Do I play Militia or do I play Artisan? Now, Militia attacks are very good, and you want to do them as much as possible because just discard down to 3 attacks are brutal. At the same time, Artisan is going to help us get our deck moving forward, get much needed cards we need into our deck. So realistically, I'm definitely thinking Artisan here. So I top deck Plaza just for getting the terminal space. I also could have gone Modify there. Was the other thing I was thinking about, but really think that modif really think that it wouldn't have mattered too much either way. But both were pretty good options here. Yeah. See, that militia attack can be pretty brutal. So I'm just gonna discard this copper because it really doesn't do anything. If I, well, actually, I don't do that. Never mind. I think I was thinking more about the defiled shrine points, so I must have made a mistake there. It's something to look out for in the future. But running over in my head if I want to go for defiled shrine points. This time it's gonna be like gaining a duchy almost. Now I decided to go for it, which puts me on a really decisive early points lead, which is very good here. Only problem is my deck is not nearly as good as Amoffett's here. So Amoffett has a much stronger deck, in my opinion. I have 2 curses in it, plus he's got he does have a Plaza moat draw going, so that's pretty good. He's drawing his deck. The only thing I think I'm doing a little bit better at is I do have an Artisan in my deck already, whereas he does not. So that can help me to get needed cards, but of course he gets the second Artisan, or he gets his first Artisan, the second Artisan of the game. So yeah. So this is a really good draw for me. I have Artisan in hand, and that's really good. I also can get another 5 if I would like. So, and now I'm kind of thinking like, do I want to discard a copper? Realistically, the answer is yes. I think with Plaza, you almost always want to discard a copper, because like even if you don't, you need that copper, it's not going to be a big deal. It'd be the same if you didn't discard it, you know. So I think going forward, you almost always want to discard coppers. I can't really think of a reason you wouldn't want to discard coppers with Plaza to like build up those coffers, but yeah. Anyways, I put the modify on top, which is very good. And for 4 here, I'm probably thinking Plaza, which I do go with. And this is a good time not to get Militia, because I'll be able to get 2 stop cards out of my deck, one of them being a curse, which is great, which will give me 1 more victory point, on top of just making my deck a little bit more runnable. So yeah, just trashing some coppers, and I have 4 here, which is pretty good. Definitely going to be playing Militia here. Want my opponent to not do well if he can. But for 4 here, I'm pretty much going to get a Plaza, most likely. Other option really is a moat or maybe a monkey. Just something to do with draw or terminal space, one of those 2. Thinking about a monkey here, but I'm definitely thinking about how I can draw my deck. So what did I get that turn? So I got a second monkey. That makes sense. Okay. Sorry, it's a little bit commentating a little bit past the game. It's been about 2 weeks, so I probably should have got this uploaded a little sooner. But you know, at least we're doing it now. Now's better than never. And we'll probably have to get our next match after the Shuffle IT tournament, but that'll be fine. At least we're getting this one before it ends. By the way, at this moment in the tournament, there are 2 people left. it's going to be Anders versus Sirisk, and Anders is the one that knocked me out of the tournament. So I'm pretty interested in watching that, just to see how it goes. But back to this game. So I'm playing a Plaza. Again, I'm thinking about discarding, but I really should just discard this copper. Really, really just building up coffers is just going to do me nothing but good. And I have an artisan, so I can gain a card, so that's pretty good. So now I'm thinking what I want to do, and I have a couple options here. I could either go moat, you know, and start drawing with Plaza as well, or I can get another Plaza here. So I think whatever happens, whatever I give Artisan is going to get top decked, and I choose the moat, which I think is a very good option here. One, it blocks his militia attacks, and two, if I have a Plaza hand like I do right now, it's great for draw. Finally really getting our draw established here, which I'm really happy about. So yeah, we get two cards off that monkey, so that's pretty good. Thinking about if I want to discard, which I think I do. And I draw with moat. And I get a modify in hand, very good here. So I can get rid of my other curse. So now that's very good. And while my deck's a little bit behind, my point lead is very much ahead. So I'm essentially a province and a half ahead, realistically 2 provinces ahead here. So that is very good. It's also important to note that the only form of gaming on here is artisan, so there's no plus buys here. So more than likely, it is going to be a single province game. So here it looks like I'm choosing to go Plaza because I'm a little over terminal as it is, which I think is a good move. And right now we're getting our monkeys out every turn, so that's good. Very good for our deck control. So realistically, looking back at this game, we're definitely drawing pretty well. I was pretty nervous about this. Now, unfortunately, I do have to discard some because of militia. But it won't matter too much here, luckily, because I do have draw with moat, and I do have it some with monkey as well. So, yeah, again, I'm thinking about discarding a copper. I definitely should just do that. We'll think about that in future matches. So yeah, probably time for me to play the mode so I can draw some stuff. Probably gonna Plaza here. Yeah, you almost want to do this every single time if it's a copper. I think I don't do it. No, I think I did do it. Never mind. Anyways, piling up the plazas, pretty good. Splitting the plazas is good because now we're kind of split on terminal space, so pretty good. Now I will say his deck is ahead of mine. He's getting close to the point where he can draw a deck if he hasn't already done so this turn. And I believe he has 3 moats at this point. And yeah, has a very good deck right now. This would be a problem more if there was more plus buy on the board. Obviously, I'm going to get militia, but since you can really at best, like the best I could think you do is like you could build up to single province and maybe 1 or 2 duchies a turn. If you could double province, I would be in trouble. But since it's only a single province game, this is much more manageable. And so he plays his artisan right now, so not bad. Likely, I think. What? Let's see. What does he get there? He gains a silver. Okay. Goes for a gold. That's something that's a little bit shocked me, to be honest. I feel like you might want a moat. You might want maybe a monument or something. Maybe monument's a little slow. Maybe you don't want that. But golds I don't think is gonna help you very much. No, I take that back. I take that back. My apologies. Gold's actually going to be very good because you can modify a gold into a province, which he already has good deck control at this point, so that is never mind. That is a good move. Plus, he has his coffers built up, so he'll be able to start provincing pretty fast. And this is probably his best chance of catching up, realistically, you know. So it was a good play by my opponent. Yeah, so here, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm thinking about just getting a moat because moat will be good for draw. And I think that's the biggest thing my deck needs right now is some draw. Obviously, my opponent can draw a deck, so that is pretty scary at this moment. And I definitely am not close to that at the moment, so definitely here I'm going to opt for a moat. I'm just taking my time thinking about it, making sure that's the thing I want to do, but it will be the thing I want to do. Alrighty, so I end up with 5. I don't end up, Militia doesn't end up going through. At this point, yeah, I'm thinking province here because I mostly just want to maintain my point lead right now. Kind of understanding that my deck is behind, you know. So yeah. So right now this isn't a great draw, but the one thing that is interesting here is that I do have monkey in play, meaning that if I draw a plaza in my next 2 cards, I'll be saved. So I have 5 plazas in deck, so the odds of drawing one are, let's see, it's going to be 512 plus 30, what is it? It's 512 plus 30 over 132. Yeah, I'm not gonna do the math, but it's 15 over 64 is roughly like, that's a little bit less than a fourth. And so I like a little bit over a half, maybe close to 2/3% chance I draw a plaza, which I do. I do definitely draw a plaza here. Okay. So I definitely draw a plaza, and very good, because now that means we're getting to the point where I can draw a deck, which is something very good for me. Yes. So amoffett has also gotten 2 provinces, so yes. I think we play plaza here. Doesn't really matter in this case what I do. But I'll just discard the copper because it's why not at this point. So one good thing about copper's built up is you have more of a chance of reliably provincing every turn, so that's pretty dang good. So I definitely want to put a monkey out. Artisaning a duchy so I can maintain a points lead at least. So militia hits here, which is very good. That's very good for us. That's probably the best we could have asked for. So yeah, right now we have a 13 points lead, which is very good, which means that now we can kind of start, we have a chance to start milling now, which is very good for us. I also now am lucky here because I get to modify an artisan in the same turn, meaning I can trash the artisan for a province, so that's just very good here. And I can still keep the coffers too, so that's not bad in and of itself. So I choose not to discard the silver, so I'm likely gonna buy a duchy here. Probably not super likely I go for my deck again, and even if I do, it's not going to be the end of the world. Because Million's in play, I'm more focused on just maintaining a points lead here. So I'm trashing the artisan for a province, so that's probably the best thing I could do with it at this point in the game, so pretty happy with that. And yeah, take the duchy so I can maintain a points lead. So now we're at a 16-point lead, and even if you double province, you're not going to realistically be able to catch up to that, so we're in a pretty dang good spot right now. Plus with Moat in hand, that's also very good because, yeah, like that, we can block the militia attack. So he's going to have to buy province here. He doesn't really have a choice. Not really a way for him to come back at this point. A points lead's kind of too great. So luckily I see this, that there's a win in hand. I can mill this province for a province, and we end the game 35-25. 36-25 actually, my bad. And at this point of the game, I'm pretty excited, We won a game, and we are at least somewhat in this match, I was incredibly nervous coming into this, and this is just very good for a mental game, and just this game kind of made me realize that I do have a chance of winning this, This isn't just going to be a sweep, So pretty happy about that win. But now we're going into game 2 right now, and yeah, game 2 is pretty interesting. This one's a pretty long game. I remember this, but let's just look at the board real quick right now. So right now we have rat catchers, we have urchins, farmers markets. So let's just look at trashing. Trashing, we have really two main options. We have rat catcher, and we have urchin, which turns into mercenary, which is a very strong trasher. And for plus buy, we have farmers market and market, of course. So we can build pretty big here. For draw, we don't really have a lot except for Mastermind and mercenary draws too. But that draw is you have to constantly have stuff to trash in order to draw with it. So both of us here go for a double urchin open, because if you play two urchins in the same turn, you can exchange one of the urchins for a mercenary. So just a pretty strong card. So I play my urchin. I go up to 3. And urchin by itself, it makes the opponent discard one card, and it can't go lower than 4. But it's not a bad card to have in and of itself. It's not a make or break card, but well, it's a make or break card is mercenary. That's a great card, but not urchin itself. So here I'm thinking between probably urchin or rat catcher. Just and I'm taking our urchin because I really desperately want a mercenary here. Also, I didn't end up saying what draw is. So the only real draw on this board is Mastermind, We have cantrips like Market and Ratcatcher, Urchin. All of those can draw, but in and of themselves, like, they're not going to draw anything for you. You really need the Mastermind to pair with it in order to get some draw here. So I have 4 in hand and a single urchin. So yeah, also looking at market towns as well. Here I don't really know what to do at this moment. So I end up going silver, wanting to hit some 5 price points like Market, Guildmaster, Mastermind. And yeah. Also, a really important thing to note for Village, the only option really is Mastermind as well, with one exception here. There's a Market Towns is something is an ally where if you gain a favor, then you can play an unused action card in your hand. So that's a village too in and of itself. Being able to play multiple cards, but you have to be able to build up um, market towns and which Guildmaster is able to do. So it's sort of like a pseudo villager of sorts. Anyways, so amoffett has his mercenary at this point, and I am about to get my mercenary. So that's a good thing. So hitting a lot of these awkward numbers, 4 is not what I would like. Obviously, I'm trying to hit 5 so I can get a market, which I believe my opponent already has. So unfortunately, not hitting great price points, but it's part of the game. Anyways, I'm probably going to opt for Ratcatcher here. 1, it's a good mastermind target, and 2, I can start thinning my deck. Even more so because unfortunately, really, getting the mercenaries has been a little bit slow this game. So yeah, I really hope to get mercenary at least by like somewhere between turn 3 to 5. You don't like it. You don't like getting it like turn 6 like I did, So I'm thinking if I want a second mercenary, probably not going to do that, to be honest. So I have 6 here, and with 6, have 3 options really. I have Mastermind, I have Market, and I have Guildmaster. No, I think I'm thinking Mastermind here, but one of the only problems is I don't have enough really great targets for Mastermind. Obviously, having a Market would be a great target for Mastermind. Ratcatcher could hit 2, but it's but yeah. So yeah, my opponent starting to build up the farmers markets. Really a good idea, to be honest. Those farmers market points will be helpful. It'll also be a good source of plus buy and economy. So really strong card. So I just used my mercenary, which is good. Trash 2 coppers, so not bad. So I have another 5 here. So I have to decide what I want. Is it time? Do I need a second market? Is it time to go Mastermind? Do I buy a merchant ship? I'm not really buying a merchant ship. I think I'm just thinking, like, is Mastermind the right decision here? Which at this point we're at least a little bit thin. Like, we just got a mercenary trash in, so. And plus we have at least a couple of good targets. So the other realistic option is go Mastermind or Market, one of those two, which I do go for Mastermind here. Nice draw, Urchin. Really unfortunate draw here. Would have been great if I didn't get that mercenary attack. But yeah, I don't really want to get rid of these silvers. And at this point, I need to also contest the market, the farmer's market, because if I don't, my opponent's just going to be able to build up a bunch of points, and I'm not going to really be able to do anything about that. So yeah, I'm definitely going to go farmer's market here. So my opponent has 3. He has a couple options here. I think realistically the most likely is another farmer's market. The only thing is he gonna have enough terminal space to play it. He goes for another urchin. Kind of makes sense because you need a target for Mastermind. That's incredibly important. Thinking if I want to play Ratcatcher here, I should want to play Ratcatcher here because my mercenary missed this shuffle. So I definitely will trash this estate. So now we hit 3. So now we have to decide what we want. Realistically, we have Ratcatcher, Silver, Farmer's Market, Urchin. Not a lot of great options below 5. Realistically, I'm probably going to want a second Farmer's Market, though, because my opponent has 2, and now I only have 1, and I'm definitely going to want to contest those points. I say that. If I might have gone for Silver in game, and if I did, I definitely made a mistake here. And I chose to go for a silver, so I definitely did make a mistake. Yeah, in retrospect, that was not the right move. I think Farmer's Market would have been good, especially with Mastermind stuff going. You know, mistakes do happen, we learn from them, but yeah, not the right play there. So 5, I basically have another Mastermind, or I go for market. Not an easy call, but I do end up going for the second Mastermind because just drawing is that important here. Kind of at this point, just praying that I don't get attacked. Well, that kind of attack's fine. Just that I don't get mercenaried again. And I don't, so I'm very lucky. I am a very fortunate man here. So my opponent gets his second Mastermind. Probably at the speed of this game, Masterminds are going to be a pretty fought over item. I can choose to call Ratcatcher if I wish, which I do not. I probably should have that turn to be real, but it's not the end of the world. Luckily, we do get our mercenary off, and we do get an estate trash, so that's good. No, I don't really want to trigger the shuffle. I want Mastermind and Mercenary in it, so I'm probably not going to play this Urchin here. It's not the kind of shuffle I'd like to trigger. So I have 6 here. Now I'm going to take a market, and the reason I'm going to take a market is because I already had 2 Masterminds in deck, and I need a target for my Mastermind. So not the best draw here. And also not the best discard. I definitely should have discarded both my coppers there. Couple of misplays here may have changed the outcome of this game. Either way, we're at least going to get both these coppers getting rid of, and we'll hit them with our own mercenary attack. So, and plus we do have market towns if we run into a Mastermind right now, which would be fine. Unfortunately, we do draw an estate, so we don't get the trash that this round or this shuffle. But it's okay because our deck's getting thinner and we are catching up, you know. We're getting closer and closer to having a usable deck. Now, this time I think I finally see the error of my ways, though it might be a little bit too late at this point. So, probably need to get rid of this copper. See what he does. Probably going to get rid of the farmer's market. 2. So, already gets his farmer's market points. It's less than ideal for us at this moment. He has 9, so he can get a good 5 and maybe another urchin, maybe silver, maybe farmer's market. He probably would want to get a farmer's market for the one he just lost. He's not really hurting for terminal space either. So alright, gets Guildmaster, double Ratcatcher. Makes sense. So obviously I'm not going to really call Ratcatcher unless I really just want to get rid of Urchin, which I don't. Yeah, so my opponent's thinking of which card to discard. Which seems to have been a pretty helpful Urchin because he discarded a silver. Might stop him from having a little bit better turn, but he's obviously going to have a really good turn next turn. So now we can use Market Towns to play Mastermind twice. Only real problem is it will hit this next shuffle, but I won't be able to. It's going to hit next turn, but I won't be able to hit any Masterminds on the turn after that. So he has his Mastermind go in. Even with this, I'll probably be able to still draw a deck. Well, no, I might be a little short of it. Probably would have been better if I had not discarded Ratcatcher, but instead Mastermind. No, if I Mastermind Ratcatcher instead of Double Urchin, because I could have called Ratcatcher. And then again, I already have one on my mat, so. But I probably won't discard because of Mercenary in hand, which for me seems worth it to get rid of a silver. Kind of stinks. I want to play this market, but I can't. Don't really want to trigger this next shuffle. It's just gonna be a bunch of coppers and not great cards down there. So, and plus I want my Masterminds, back in the shuffle. So I get a Mastermind because I know for sure I want that. So now I kind of have to think, do I want Guildmaster or Market? The advantage of Market is obviously draw and plus action, but Guildmaster can build up just raw points or raw coins really fast and can build up favors, which is kind of like villagers in this case. So I go for Guildmaster here, and I'm not really upset with my decision. Not really upset with my decision that much. Buys an animal fair, which I guess is fine. Realistically speaking, I'll be a little bit better at building up economy, and plus, once a pile runs out, it'll be a source of plus buy, so it'll be not bad. So at this point, I have 5, so yeah. Building this game kind of takes a while because you have to do a mastermind. You don't really have any draw other than cantrip draw. Just really a long game here. So yeah, I have 5. Now I have to decide between the 4th mastermind or a market. It's not the clearest decision in the world. One, we're not drawing deck, but both kind of help the draw deck. I go for the 4th mastermind here. Have to discard a farmer's market, unfortunately. Now I make a mistake here. if I discard this mastermind, that's definitely a blunder here. You definitely want both those in play. And I will accept the fact that I blundered this game. You might be able to tell by the tone of my voice who wins this game, but we'll see. Yeah, like realistically, the correct play there would have been to discard farmer's market, because you really just want to be having big turns, you know. And we have enough cards really that we should be hitting like big turns, you know. Like honestly, if you have one cantrip in hand, you'll draw cards, and like it's not the most important thing right now to be playing farmers markets. Though he went up to 4, so yeah. Might not have been a mistake in this case. He urchins. So I play this farmer's market because I for sure want the points. Or I will play this farmer's market eventually. So that's good. At least we have some sort of points in our deck. Probably not going to play Ratcatcher because we don't want to cause a shuffle. Still don't feel that the farmer's market was the right play. Really here, because like even if he got the second farmer's market points, I really just think getting my deck going was going to be a little bit higher priority. And plus, we can always mastermind. What was I gonna say? You can just mastermind stuff. So yeah, my opponent here having a really massive turn, getting out 2 masterminds and getting enough money to buy 2 5s here. It's also important to note that piles are incredibly low right now. You really don't want to be lowering like urchin, mastermind, or market here. It is definitely time for scoring at this point. Yeah, so I play my market. I should be playing my cantrips. I continue. So we're not doing horrible at the moment. So yeah. Luckily, we do have one market. We have one favor, so we can play all three masterminds here. Now, I have the province here more or less because of the points problem, you know. I want to take a points lead, and I don't believe this game is going very much further at all. Luckily, my deck is already relatively thin, so I likely will hit all my mastermind targets. Here, probably just get rid of Urchin. And if I get Mercenary, I'll just get rid of Farmer's Market. Which I will end up doing. Though it's ideally, it's debatable if I should have really, it's really debatable if I should have gotten rid of like Farmer's Market there. I think maybe, in retrospect, it would have been better to play it, to have it in hand, because scoring is going to be a very big issue. Here I would have made 2 less money than if I had a guildmaster masterminded, but I would have scored the 4 points here, which would have been pretty dang huge. So it was kind of on me for not keeping that in my deck. I kind of saw it coming too, so yeah. So I mastermind market here. Finally, I'm probably going to mastermind guildmaster, but yeah, the outcome of this game could have looked a little bit different had I gone farmer's market instead of something else. Now, so thinking about this, it still wouldn't have been enough to win, I don't believe. I still would not have had enough buys, I believe. I would have had, if I had gone the other route, I would have had, let's see, I would have had 10 buys plus 2, I would have had 12 buys. And 12 buys and would have had 2 less money also. Actually, after playing the farmer's market, I would have had 4 less money. But see, I'm looking at this board right now. Now, now something that might have been a little bit better is it would have gone a little bit better maybe if I had conquested 3 times in a row. Would have given me something to trash my mercenary with. Would have clogged my deck up though. So, But realistically, right now I'm at 10 points. I am behind. I think the right move here was not what I played. I think I played double province here, but But I think what I should have done is I should have done conquest stuff. I could have, with at least 23, I could have got 1 silver, played conquest 3 times. So that would have come out to, so that would have come out to 15 points this turn, and I wouldn't, which is the same amount that I already got, and I would be less, I wouldn't be lowering the provinces like I did, you know. This is not great to do because my opponent decks are strong enough at this point now that masterminds are hitting to triple province, and I think that's something I should have considered, you know. I'm definitely down by a lot and wasn't really thinking about that, but this is really on me here. So yeah. So yeah, now my opponent has 3 masterminds out. 15. Now, also this draw is less than ideal. I hit all my masterminds right here, but I do not hit any other cards to keep my deck going. So now it comes down to, like, basically, if I get to play this turn, I win. But if I can't play this turn, I don't win, which is why you're about to find out why leaving at triple province was a mistake, especially with stuff like Animal Farm and Guildmaster and Mastermind. It's not going to be hard to build up to 24 coins, which my opponent does build up to 24 coins, multiple buys. So yeah, that's a game right there. So yeah, the score is now 1-1. It's a pretty neck and neck at this moment, and yeah, going into game 3. Alright, so going into game 3 here. So a lot different than the first 2 boards, where the first 2 boards were limited in what you could do with 3s and 4s. Here there's a ton of things you can do for cards less than 4. There is a lot of opens you could go here. I think for B, what I'm eyeing with 4 right now is kind of between Young Witch and Exorcist. Now, normally here, I love Exorcist, one of my favorite cards. I would have normally opened Exorcist, but there's only like one kind of problem here, is that like I really don't want to lose the curse split, you know? And like it's going to be a huge deal on this board because there's draw, but draw is gonna mostly come through getting your peasant all the way up to a teacher, you know. So, and you also have Will-O-Wisp and Imp as well through Exorcist, but I just really think that the curse split's gonna be a huge deal this game. So that's like the first card I get is a Young Witch. And I opt for a Peasant too, even though they could clash, you know. It's just I can't. Even if Peasant clashes with Young Witch, I really can't. I need to be upgrading Peasant, you know. Like, even though it's 2 terminals, and I usually don't like opening 2 terminals here, here I almost think it's necessary because of how important I think both these cards are, you know. Here I get a Peasant, and my opponent's probably going to get an Exorcist, which makes sense. Probably what I would have done if things were a little different. So, luckily, I get a Witch on turn 1. Unfortunately, it does play Peasant, but that's kind of the risk I was willing to take with this open. Just like, So I guess it's kind of fine for me right now. I'm gonna take an exorcist for sure because um I for sure need it right now. Um, my opponent is getting Enchantress for draw. It makes sense. Um, for me, I have a couple of things options here. I have Acting Troop for 3. I also have Guard Dog. I also have there's Enchantress as well. I like Enchantress as a card. I just reason I'm not getting it because I just don't have the terminal space for it at the moment. So yeah. Going to the next shuffle, I get 3. So, really gonna have to think about what I want to do here. But I think the options that is most appealing to me is Second Peasant. Reason being, I do want Disciple and Teacher. Disciple is gonna be very good here because, first off, all the drawer cards we're gonna need will be great for like late game stuff. So kind of minor spoiler here, but like the two main cards you can Teacher for draw are Cartographer and Guard Dog, and both of those aren't. You don't really want those early game, but like late game, those cards will become a lot better. Let's see. My apologies, turn 5 I got a silver, and this is the turn I get a peasant. So yeah, luckily I have Exorcist with an estate, so I can get the Will-O-Wisp. Pretty happy about that. And luckily Acting Troop this is a good hand to have Acting Troop in. Like right when I need the terminal space, I get it, so that's nice. So Acting Troop gets played. I get a Young Witch. I don't like having to discard Exorcist here, but I mean, there's not a whole lot I can do. Now, I got that confused with there's a like ally that's like camelish that allows you to discard your hand and draw 5 cards. I was hoping that was the card. That was what was there, but that just where the camel just allows you to exile a gold, which I mean can be useful for building a payload, especially when you have counterfeit, but here it's kind of okay. Now I am definitely thinking in our Acting Troop here because I definitely want the terminal space, and Acting Troop is really the only village here. Aside from really aside from Teacher, which can act as a village here, but yeah. Oh, another thing about the silver buy, another thing I like to do with Exorcist is get silvers, so that way I can turn those silvers into imps, So it works for like early game payload, and it also works for late game draw. So I probably thought I should mention that, why I got the silver turn 5. So right now I have 5, and I'm thinking like what options are available to me. I have a lot of good 4s and 3s here, and I have 2 buys. So I'm thinking what I want to get. So yeah, Counterfeit probably is going to look pretty appealing here. 1, it's a way of building a payload. 2, we can get rid of all those coppers, which Exorcist is not good at trashing. So right here, my Will-O-Wisp gets Enchantress, but that's not the end of the world. 4. Now I'm thinking Flag Bearer here, but I don't want to play the Flag Bearer game at the moment. Because, you get the Flag Bearer, your opponent gets the Flag Bearer. It's just kind of a mess. Could it be something good for Exorcist to trash for like an imp, but like I don't think my deck control is good enough to really do that. other options here, really looking at deck control here. So you have Exorcist and Guard Dog as well, which both work for terminal draw, which might not be terrible, especially considering we have some acting troops going, and we have another acting troop that hasn't been activated yet. Let's see. Other options available is a second counterfeit. There's Fleet. That's very good. Cartographer could be good for, maybe not good for drop, but good for at least being a pseudo trasher here. And that's sort of what I go with right now. Now, would I have done that going back? Well, actually, Cartographer did help our deck a bit, because we do have Will-O-Wisp in our deck. And especially now, this hand, we'll have 2 Will-O-Wisps, so that's pretty good, all things considered. So, one of the not great things here is my opponent is ahead in his peasants. He already has a Disciple, and I have a Fugitive, so I'm kind of behind on that front, so that's not really great for me. So now I play my soldier. That'll go to a Fugitive. Have another Fugitive in deck. So really not the best, but we're not the best, but at least right here we do have first player advantage, so we're at least a little ahead, at least in terms of some things. Like this turn we're gonna be ahead in trashing, so like we will have we're gonna get our second Will-O-Wisp this turn, so that's not bad. Now I'm thinking between Enchantress and Guard Dog here, and probably also Acting Troop as well. I think I'm thinking Acting Troop here because, I mean, we're still not in a great place to be, terminal-wise. And wait, what did I get? I'm really sorry. Okay, I get an Enchantress there. I think here I'm thinking that his Enchantress gives him really good draw, and I guess at this point I'm a little bit nervous about that. So, maybe not the best. Also, I'm not too thrilled that both Fugitive and Young Witch got bottom decked. Now I have to get rid of one. Probably get rid of the copper. Chances are you can draw one again. And well, actually, even if you don't, it's not the end of the world. Honestly, it's better to have the copper in hand than the estate. While they're both stop cards, at least copper can be drawn by Will-O-Wisp here, so it's not the worst thing that could happen. So now, one thing I also will say is I am 3 curses ahead, I believe. So, like, that's not too bad at the moment. That's one advantage my deck has over his, is that I am ahead in curses. So yeah, I hit another 5 here. Realistically, a lot of options available here. I have both my acting troops trashed, so that's good. So you have Fleet here. I can do second Cartographer, which wouldn't be too bad. You also have Guard Dog as well. And I guess one of the advantages of Guard Dog is that with villagers, we do have enough terminal space to play it, and it does block from Young Witch attacks. One of the things I forgot to say about this board is that Guard Dog does block Young Witch, so it is actually fairly good on this board. And plus, you know, you can teacher this into, you can give it a plus action, so kind of make it like a laboratory. So make it like a lab. That's a bad joke. Okay, but what was I gonna say? But yeah, I mean, like, I guess realistically, looking back, I thought my deck was in a lot worse shape than it was. I am behind on peasants, but and you already have your teacher going, so actually, kind of re-looking at it, I am behind for sure. Now, luckily, one of the things that Cartographer is pretty good at is I can line up my Will-O-Wisp really dang well. So I basically get to draw all of this, which is kind of great for me right now. All right. So, yeah. I really think this was a good idea here. This is very good for me. A very good turn. Discipling this guard dog means that I'm gaining guard dogs, and next turn I can update both peasants into, my fugitive can be a disciple, and my disciple can be a teacher, meaning that pretty soon, and if I have 2 good turns, 2 turns from now, guard dog's gonna become like a lab. So yeah, and so now really focusing on draw here. I'm consistently drawing my deck. I am doing I'm doing things that will help that. So like Cartographer here is going to be good because it lines up Will-O-Wisps, and on top of that, it's a target for Imp to hit as well. So really a fan of that at the moment. So now at this point we can both draw our decks. So unfortunately guard dog isn't in hand for me at this moment, so that's less than ideal, but what are you gonna do about it? So my opponent gets a second Enchantress along with let's see, my opponent gets second Enchantress along with some other stuff. No, I think the correct order here is Disciple card it's Disciple Cartographer, but I guess I do Imp Disciple Cartographer. It's not the best. I would have preferred to have Guard Dog over Cartographer, but a Cartographer is not going to be too bad. It's going to give me some plus action at least, you know? So that's not too bad. Now, here the correct move is to move Will-O-Wisp to the second spot here. And that was not the correct move, but whatever. I should have moved Willows to the second spot, moved Copper to the fourth spot. Looks like it's not going to matter too much here. Yeah, finally going to play Teacher. And now I kind of have a choice here. Definitely play... my choice here is really, what do I buy? Do I get another Cartographer? Or do I go the Guard Dog route realistically? Am I going to draw? Is my main draw going to be Cartographer or Guard Dog? And I'd go with Guard Dog here, which is more or less what I wanted to build my deck up to anyways. What? Anyways, so right now this is pretty good. We're still behind here, but at least we're both still drawing deck. He's got a little bit, I mean, he's got a second Teacher, so he's gonna get Guard Dog with plus action already. But one of the good things here is we're still blocking Young Witch. Now, one advantage he is having is I think he is also ahead on payload. My payload is kind of suffering, and though we both have one card exiled. Also, I made a mistake playing that Guard Dog here. That was a mistake to play that Guard Dog, because if he Young Witches me, I get a curse, which is not what I want. Now, luckily, he's out of... Well, he could still curse me if he wanted to. But that's an interaction I probably should have thought before I clicked, but... yeah. So he gets another Peasant. That kind of confuses me. Get the Silver and the Peasant. Not sure why he wants the extra Peasant, but... it's... at this point, you're not going to upgrade to the Disciple. I'm not really sure what's going on there. But one good thing is we can upgrade Guard Dog. So that's pretty good for us. So we can... so yeah. Luckily, we're getting a lot of good stuff here. I mean, that's really fine. I'm going to draw my deck anyways. It's not a huge, biggest deal in the world. I can just... now, this is not the smartest play. Realistically, it was going to be likely he had Guard Dog in hand. So probably trying to curse him wasn't the smartest play at the moment. Then again, you still kind of want to be ahead on the curses. So I really have a choice here. I have gold or double Guard Dog. Or double Guard Dog. Now I go for gold because of Counterfeit here. Um, and plus, like, I'm going to need to build payload soon, so getting those golds in deck turned out to be a good idea here. Now, it's a little bit of a nerve-wracking draw because if my imp doesn't hit a will-o-wisp or a guard dog, I dud this turn. And dudding this turn would be the end of the game for me, so not going to be the best. But how would I say our decks compare? So my deck can draw, and now it's at least more ready for payload here. So like, that's one good thing I like about my deck. At least compared to my opponent's deck. The only thing is my opponent has, I think, a little bit more draw, so he might be a little more consistent than I am. Then again, I think I'm the only one with an imp, so that's also a good form of draw. So my opponent gets 7. Now my opponent gets his golds into the deck. So that's pretty good for me. Fortunately, we can't play Enchantress, but that kind of, to be fair, that actually helps us a little bit. Oh, he makes the same mistake of playing guard dog that I did. So yeah, I would rather not use Disciple on Imp, but at this point I don't have a great choice here. If I play Teacher, my turn's over, so luckily I catch that before I play Teacher. That's fine for right now. So it's a good turn for us. We end up drawing everything. Now here's where I think this game was won here, like on this turn. I think really playing Teacher or exiling, it's not going to make a huge difference, whatever I do. But here's where my deck is kind of leading. My deck is not as strong as my opponent's, right? My opponent can draw deck 2, and he has an extra gold that I do not have in hand. So looking at our decks, looking at our decks, it's like my only real advantage here is I'm basically ahead half a turn, you know, probably because of like first person advantage or first turn advantage. But he has a bigger deck built than I do, so my deck's a little faster, but his is a better deck, or like has at least a higher payload deck. So I guess here I'm deciding if I want to exile a gold or play Teacher. Realistically, I want to play Teacher, but now it's the part of the game where it's like, okay, I have a bunch of golds in deck. Like, you know, piles are getting pretty low. If you look, I need to start scoring, you know. So the economy I really need to build up here is buys, which really, the only source of plus buy here is Peasant and Counterfeit, which Peasant isn't really great here. especially with not a lot of terminal space here. So, yeah. Now, this is a great hand to draw, to be honest. Really couldn't have asked for anything better. This time I'm not playing guard dog. At least I hope I'm not. Hope I learned my lesson. I do not want to get cursed here, so I'm probably going to hold on to my guard dog. Oh, interesting. He doesn't draw his deck. But he does get an imp this turn. So that's really bad for him. Though he does get 2 counterfeits, I believe. Alright. So there's an correct line to play here. And realistically, you want to disciple the guard dog here. On top of giving you plus action, you're going to get that last guard dog, which is going to be very good. So yeah, very good there. Ending the guard dog pile, which is a very strong pile in this game. Yeah, we're going to play cartographer. Yeah, and luckily this is enough to draw a deck realistically. Yeah, I definitely have enough at this point in the game. So now, okay, this is where I want to pause and say, I find there is a win here that I'm going to find. What I want to ask you is, after I play this Enchantress, can you find the win? If you've been playing the game for a while, this might be easy for you, but if you're a newer player just watching, see if you can find the win, you know? Realistically, I'll give you some time. I'd say pause the video right now, you know? Maybe take a look at the board, take a look at what's in my hand, see if you can find something. Because I'm definitely calculating to see if I can get this win. So yeah, if you're watching this video, I just recommend pausing and seeing if you can find the win. Alright, so here's the win right here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to play all 3 counterfeits in a row. Essentially what you're going to do is you're going to play all 3 counterfeits in a row, and with every counterfeit, you're going to play a gold. Now that will put you up to essentially 26 coins and 6 buys, which will be enough to buy out all the cartographers and the last curse. Since my opponent has 2 curses and I have 1 curse, and we don't have any other victory cards, I win because I have 1 more point than he does, and the game is ended. So the score is 2-1, and I'm pretty ecstatic right now. I was not expecting to win that game. I thought I was behind for most of it. So seeing me come out on top in that game really gave me a lot of motivation there. So I was pretty happy about this. So yeah, now we're going to be going into game 4. So game 4 has a pretty interesting board. For draw, you have 2 options. You have Seer and you have City Quarter. The City Quarter is going to be a little bit hard to build up. For trashing, you have Salvager, and that's the only trasher on the board. My apologies, there's also Apothecary for draw, so that could be pretty good. For plus buy, there is going to be Astrolabe and Salvager. Both will give you plus buy. And let's see, we have trashing by actions. Yeah, that's right, actions. So the only village on the board as well, we have 2 villages actually. There's town and there's city quarter as well. I think the most optimal target, and I think a lot of people would probably say this is correct, is going for Seers here. Seers are going to allow you to draw a lot of silvers and 4s, and since there's a lot of really fairly strong 3s and 4s on this board, it's going to be a fairly useful card to get. So my opponent opens silver, and realistically, I'm gonna open silver as well. Oh, there's also one other thing I forgot. Obelisk. Um, I didn't show this on screen yet. Is on merchant, so that means that every time I get a merchant, which is going to be the it's going to be the card at the top left. Every time I get a merchant, or me or my opponent gets a merchant, we get 2 victory points. So that's going to be pretty important for seeing how this game turns out. So I have 3, and I start with a silver. So my opponent gets a salvager, and I definitely also want a salvager. So I have a pretty good hand to start out with. I get to trash this estate, and for 5 I can take a seer. So that's exactly what I like. Unfortunately, I don't get a double 5, and my opponent does. But that's okay. So for 4, we have a couple of options. We can take another silver, or we can take another merchant here, which I'm going to choose to get the merchant because, 1, the obelisk points are good, but on top of that, really, merchant is just, it's just a good card. Basically, it works like a peddler if you have a silver in play. So it's a card in action, so it doesn't take up really any, really space in your deck. So that's pretty nice, and, yeah, definitely. So my opponent not having great seer draw at the moment, but it doesn't. Unfortunately, having a bunch of coppers top decked, so which works well for me, but yeah, not very great for him. So now he has 5. So he has to decide if he wants a merchant or he wants a seer. So he gets a merchant, probably so a seer can have something to hit. Now this is a great hand for me. So basically I can trash my second estate here. And I get to trash my second estate, and yeah, I have 7, so I have enough for 2 3s or a seer. So for here, I think I can go double merchant here. I can go 1 merchant, and then maybe a silver. But here I go double merchant, being that merchant is a very it's a highly sought after pile. So my opponent gets a merchant as well, having an extra buy, and gets an astrolabe for buy. Alright, makes sense to me. So I have to decide here to play the seer or the merchant first. I play the seer, but that's kind of questionable to be honest. Realistically, I think that was the wrong play. I probably should have played the merchant first. But whatever. You live and you learn. So we have 6 here. I'm also thinking about innovation, though I don't think innovation is going to do a whole lot on this board. And I also have 1 buy because my salvager is not in play at the moment and is my only source of plus buy. So I guess what I have to decide is, do I want a seer or do I want a merchant? What exactly do I want? Now post game analysis, I feel like it would be I feel like seer would be what I want because I want more deck control here. But also merchants kick in. Unfortunately, there's no plus buy here, so that's not really gonna be a lot. What did I get? You see, okay, buying game merchant, that was definitely a mistake on my end. A seer would have been the much better card to get here. Really getting deck control. Merchant's almost like a victory card at this point. And I think that was just not worth it as a play, to be honest. If I could go back and replay this game, I definitely would probably get a seer as opposed to a merchant. And yeah, I think trying to calculate what's on the bottom of my deck, but I don't think it matters. I personally think that merchant here is going to be the right play. All right, so this. So one unfortunate thing is I only have one silver in my deck, so basically means that merchant doesn't hit right now. Would have been great to have drawn a silver at that point, but yeah, that's more on me. So my opponent's gonna pile out the merchants, and he has 6. He'll probably take another seer. Now at this point we are split on seers. He has 3. No, we're split on merchants. He has one more seer than I do. He has an astrolabe. He has a salvager. He is very much ahead at this point in the game. Now this is almost a resignable position, to be honest, and possibly that's what I should have done, to be honest, just to be frank. But we don't quite hit enough for a double seer. We'll definitely take at least one, but I think my opponent is just in all ways ahead at this point, you know. Really not going to be able to. It'd be a stretch being able to come back from this, but since it's a championship game, or since it's the consolation bracket, or it's pretty far up, I'm gonna play it out, being that like every win means something, even if you can come back and clutch a win, you know. And as you can see, my opponent is drawing his deck, so really, plus he's using salvager every turn. It's very unlikely he loses his lead. Yeah, double seer silver, so he is in a very good position at the moment. Well, he could also get another astrolabe if you would like. And yeah, the only reason we're really playing this out is simply because we would like, simply because we don't really think there's a better option here. Really should have put the seer first. Not that it matters a whole lot. So we're not going to be drawing deck here. We are definitely 2 or 3 turns behind at this point. And even getting the seer, my opponent's going to be able to get a seer. And plus, we're looking in the face of a 3 pile pretty soon. So it's not looking great for us, but we're still going to play this out. So the correct move here is to get a seer. My opponent will probably also get the last seer next turn, but this is the best we can do at this moment. Alright, so it is my opponent's turn. And like as predicted, he's drawing his deck. You probably can just make it where you draw the seers. And now he's for sure drawing everything every turn. Yeah, you could double province here if you want. That's definitely incorrect, though. Yeah, getting the last seer is kind of obvious here. Yeah, going up 1 province, getting a town. It all sounds like a fairly good idea, at least. Town can also be drawn by what you call it? Can be drawn by seer, so it's not terrible as well. So luckily we're getting to the point where we can draw our deck too, but we don't have as many buys or gains as he does, so we're definitely behind. So we have a total of 12, so not too hot. So yeah, we're gonna definitely take an astrolabe here because we definitely need more. We definitely need more buys, or realistically, we need more buys, or we need to really build up our economy somehow. Just really buff it up. So we at least want to be getting to the point where we're double provincing. So let's see. We have silver province here. That's an option. Though actually, to be frank, getting buys at this point doesn't seem too that important because like there's not really a whole lot we can do with all this. There's not really a whole lot we can do with those buys, you know? Like what are we gonna get with them? So I think that's kind of a mistake on my end. Realistically, I should have probably just been building up for triple province here, but it's part of the game. So he doesn't draw his deck. That sort of surprises me, actually. So I guess he just has a bunch of stop cards, or he just didn't see any seers that turn. So that can make sense. I draw a double merchant. So I draw all of that into my hand, and we have a full deck in hand at the moment, so that's pretty good. So here we go. We have so here we have a couple of options. We for sure at least want one province here, especially since he did it last turn. No, I think the right move would have just been double province, but I don't end up doing that actually. I do something else. I do province, and I'm thinking about city quarter here. The only reason I'm thinking about city quarter is because it can become draw, and because I like kind of absolutely need to draw. It's looking tempting because I could at least be a sort of +2, +3 draw because I don't being that my green cards in my deck. I don't with Seer. It's not gonna really support green that well. I'm thinking City Quarter might need to be added in order to increase the draw to the level that I could consistently draw. So that's kind of what's going through my head right now. Do I double province or do I province City Quarter? Which I choose this province City Quarter, which could be a good idea or it could be not a great idea. So he draws deck this turn. Not super surprising. Alright, so 17. So my opponent chooses the double province, and that makes sense. Making me kind of think I should have double province last turn. Realistically, I think that would have been a better idea personally. To essentially just double prov there. But luckily we do still draw a hint deck. And honestly, yeah, I mean, Of course, City Quarter gets bomb decked, but like here, I think the right move we would have been down 22, but we wouldn't have been. Realistically, we would have had to pile duchies or get to the point where essentially get to the point where we could win. So here's the thing I should have realized. So he can double province, right? And he can draw his deck, and he has Salvager. So three provinces is too low to have, you know. Like the moment 4 might as well be the normal penultimate province because with Salvager you can trash province to get another province. So it's like within 3 provinces he can very well easily end the game if he draws his deck, which is something I should have realized, you know, going into this game, but I wasn't thinking about it at the moment. See here, I believe this is a turn that he wins because yeah, he just draws everything. Now he has enough. All he has to do is generate enough money to buy 2 provinces, without using Salvager, of course, and then just you know, trashing his province, and you know, he can clear out the provinces and win. So yeah, that was on me. I think going for the city quarter did absolutely nothing for me. I really should have double province and realized how close the game was to ending. So yeah, the score is now 2-2, and things are getting pretty tense, you know? This could really go either way, and it's been kind of neck and neck the entire set, to be frank. Alright, so we've come to game 5. A very pivotal game in a set that's 2-2 right here. Really, whoever wins this game is going to really have a good advantage for the rest of the set. So here I get an interesting opening. I get a 5-2. So let's look at the board real quick. So right now, for draw, we have a couple of things. We have a bunch of +2 draw, because we basically have Shepherd, which can be very good for draw. We have Way of the Otter, which can turn any action into +2 draw, and we have Steward, which can just be Way of the Otter. You can use for +2 draw normally. As far as buys and gains, we don't have any plus buy, but we do have gains, you know. We have Haggler here. Which allows you to get a card that is less than the card you bought. And we have Workshop, which is allows you to get a card that costs up to 4, which is going to be great here, considering the plethora of good 3s and 4s on this board. So anyways, I do get a Haggler kind of because I have to. I don't really see another great option here. So my opponent opens Workshop Shepherd, and that kind of makes sense to me. Mill could have worked as well. Really a lot of good stuff. Also, the other thing I need to say is there's only one source of plus action on this board, and that's Mountain Village. So that's going to be super important, in my opinion. Mountain Village is going to allow you to use the rest of your deck pretty efficiently. You also have Courier that can also be a form of village, I guess. It's not really terminal, to be honest. You can play your non-terminal cards with it, so yeah. So I'm going through my 4 options, you know, and there's a lot of I could do. Even with 3, like even with 3, you have like Steward, you have Mill, you have Mountain Village, Shepherd, just really a ton of good options here. So it's probably gonna take me a bit to think about this. As far as what's the best choice looks like, Shepherd doesn't seem like a bad choice to me here. Shepherd, it's going to be pretty critical if we're not going to trash any of our estates, which I kind of want to keep them because of pasture here, which essentially pasture, which is that green and yellow card, makes all your cards essentially worth it makes all your states worth an extra point, so all your states are worth 2 essentially. So that's a pretty good card. And I get a mountain village here because their mountain village is going to be incredibly strong. Taking a steward also for some trashing. And you know, we don't get a bad hand here. We have a shepherd into 2 estates, so I'm pretty happy about that. That's a pretty good draw for us. And we can also mountain village this pasture too. Well, actually no, we can't because we can't actually do that. Just what? We can't do that because we played shepherd already. But and unfortunately we can't use stampede because you have to have 5 less. You have to have 5 cards or less to use that effect and play, and we'll have 7 cards. So so we have a couple of options. We have second haggler, which I mean doesn't look entirely bad here. It's a form of gaining. That's not terrible. But right now I'm a little concerned about terminal space, so it seems that at this point in the match I'm eyeing Mountain Village. But it's not an easy decision here. So oh, okay. There's also this. Wishing Well also works as draw. Although, I don't know if this is the best board for Wishing Well, because you're just going to be getting a plethora of cards on this board. Like, unless you're solely sticking to, like, maybe 2 or 3 types of cards, it's going to be kind of hard to keep track of everything. Still doesn't mean he can't get you draw. So, he has 4. You really have Mountain Village or Shepherd are your main 2 options. Oh, I know, you have Mill. You have just so many options here. Yeah, this is actually kind of an overwhelming board because you're like, you get 3 or 4, and you're like, I don't know what to get, you know? And now I have to decide here, do I want to trash these 2 coppers or do I want to gain cards? Which here I'm choosing to trash. Probably thinking the longevity of my deck first. And so yeah, here we go. So play Mountain Village. Play all 5 of my cards. Didn't necessarily have to do that. Gave my opponent a bit of information. Unless I go with Haggler. So the options here are really like Haggler, Mountain Village, or Mountain Village Workshop here. One of the 2. Either way, definitely want Mountain Village. It's a... Don't really want Mill here, to be frank. I might take it because I'm a little nervous this game, but Mountain Village is correct here. Mountain Village gainer for sure. Yeah, you can see me just like struggling, like going back and forth, like what the heck do I do? No, this is a great board, I think. So eventually I do go Mountain Village Workshop, which I think is fine. That works pretty well. One of the problems with mill here is that it's good for getting high cost cards, I guess, without really slowing down your deck. But um, the highest cost here card here is going to be like Haggler, which how many Hagglers are you gonna really want? You know, you might get like the most I could see you getting on this board is like 3. You know, like very most. Even then, that's a lot. I think 1 or 2 is ideal. So, which my opponent does get a Haggler, no, which I don't think is a bad move. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm gonna play Mountain Village here. I should play Mountain Village here, and I do. So I have a couple options. I can play the workshop I just got, or I can play more Mountain Villages. Actually, that'd probably be more wise. Yeah, so I'm just kind of milking, really just trying to milk the Mountain Villages. Obviously, we don't want to cause a shuffle here. Um, Also, Shepherd is top decked. You have a Shepherd Estate, so you don't really want to draw those 2 cards, just because that's going to be natural draw. So now I'm just debating between like Haggler and Workshop. I think it's going to be the same either way. I'm probably going to draw it because I'm not thinking at this point. Personally, I don't know how I feel about triggering the shuffle. Actually, I do know. I think it's a really bad idea. I think now I'm just gonna have to use Workshop as Way of the Otter, which I mean, now I just have a copper top decked. And realistically, all of that could have been avoided if I did not trigger the shuffle. So, I mean, it turned out to be about the same with 1 card top decked for triggering that shuffle, but like, it really wasn't a good idea. So, I'm thinking of second Haggler at this point. Yeah, definitely want Mountain Villages. And okay, let me explain the reason why I'm getting so many Mountain Villages, right? So, what I'm trying to do here is my draw is mostly relying on Way of the Otter here. So, wait, so like kind of my idea, if I don't know if I came up with it at this point in the game, but like basically my idea is kind of just stockpile a bunch of workshops, right? Because workshops are great on this board. They're just phenomenal. Like they're just phenomenal on this board. But if I stockpile on like workshops, right, then essentially it can be a gainer or something I can use for draw. Which what do I want to gain? Well, I have a plethora of really good 4s on the board. You know, just a ton of them, a ton of good 3s as well. And also a really important thing is at the end game you're gonna definitely want estates. So estates are going to be really important in this game, and workshops going to allow you to get those estates, you know. Now right now I need to pretty much I need to get at least 1 of them, you know. All right. Sorry, what am I saying? I think actually right now I'm thinking mostly about the Mountain Village split, you know, because it's just such an essential card here. And plus, also Mountain Villages, if I get a bunch of them in hand, I could use some of them as Way of the Otter. I really think they're strong on this board, so I think I'm mostly thinking about getting those, you know. There's also Workshop too, so I think that's right now you're seeing me struggle between which do I get. Which here I got a Workshop, but But I think definitely we want Mountain Village workshop here. We definitely don't want Steward. I hope I... No, you don't want Steward. I got Steward. That was not... Past me would beat myself up for that. Well, that was not a smart move on my end. However, it may not be the end of the world here. It's just... It's basically... All Steward is... It's like a +2 card that can't gain things like Workshop can. It obviously was not a smart move. So I'm just building up actions here. Here I really have two options. I really should really what I should put on top deck is I should put a second Haggler and I should put one Workshop, you know. That way I can just really start we can really pile out the mountain villages here. And with Haggler we can get some more workshops going. So we get the workshop. I'm not gonna get a second Haggler, I don't think, right now. Yeah, probably going for workshop. Though I think the correct play here is Haggler. Because you can essentially with the or even Haggler, because you could just you could buy Mountain Village and then double Workshop. But even Steward is not a good choice. It just gives you one less gain. I'll say that, but at least our strategy's coming around to fruition. Okay, not a great draw, but like, you know, that's gonna happen. We're not really getting a lot of terminals out of our deck. So one thing I will say I like about my deck is that I did get rid of I do have more mountain villages, which I think is incredibly important here. Yeah, because even with all of that, what are you doing? Now, I think my opponent did also mess up. They're getting shepherds when I think they should... Well, actually, I don't know if they have the terminal space for that many, workshops. I think I have a lot more terminal space. So, I think here the move... Well, the move can be two things. You can do Shepherd Mill... Shepherd Mill for draw or workshop. Those are... I feel like those are all fine. I probably maybe workshop. Here, that's probably what I'm leaning more towards because I want to... Okay, also another thing about workshop is that you want to win the state split, you know. Because greening... What did I go for here? Okay, I gained a workshop. So, yeah. So something about this board is that another reason to get a bunch of workshops is because you can pile out estates really well here. Yeah, I mean, you want to be piling on estates, especially since it's two per estate you get, and winning that's going to be a huge deal. Let's see, my opponent gets a mill. Surprisingly, doesn't have enough for province here. But I guess there hasn't been a single silver bought this entire game. The closest thing to money being bought here is Haggler, which is a terminal silver, but it's not a ton of money. So my opponent gets a second Haggler. So that's pretty interesting. So there's a combo I saw at the end of the game, and I don't know if I see it here. So you can Mountain Village, right? You can Mountain Village and put a card into your hand, but you can also play Workshop, and then the card that you workshop you can put into your hand. So for instance, in this case, I might want a Mountain Village. So I might want to workshop. I might want to workshop a Shepherd, for instance, and then I might want to pick up that Shepherd and use it for draw here. Alright. And we're going for a deck pretty nicely here. Probably putting Pasture in. Now, I probably should have done the Workshop to Shepherd combo, but it's kind of okay at the moment right now. I'm not sure why I put the estate in hand. I'm not really sure what I'm thinking there. I don't have a second Shepherd. I can draw that. So I can use Workshop for draw. And I use this Haggler for draw as well. Alright, so I have 3 actions, and I'm looking okay right now. So I'm kind of thinking to myself what I want to do here, you know. And there's kind of really a couple options. Is it too early for me to start going for estates? And I kind of think it is here, which is why I probably take a Shepherd. And I think right here I feel like I'm gonna pile out on mills and estates, which is why I'm considering that. But it can really go either way. I'm also eyeing Workshop here because pretty soon, as in probably next turn, I'm gonna want to be gaining estates. So yeah, and Workshop's just gonna be great for that, and also just draw in general. Also, I'm behind on points here. So that's also why mill seems kind of appealing to me. Though I think the point gain from mill is kind of minimal at best. So yeah, I think Duchy is almost forced here. Because I have to be at least somewhat. I need to be somewhat in points range for things to work out for us. So I get a Duchy right now. That's kind of figured. And I get the second Workshop. using the workshop can with Way of the Otter, I can use it both as draw and as a gainer, so really not bad here. You know, this isn't a terrible hand to have. We can start kickstarting our draw, and Mountain Village, since there's nothing to discard, it draws us a card, so that's not bad. So yeah, get our Mountain Villages going. Alright, going to use both of these for cards, pretty obviously. I think at this point I'm not sure if I want a Shepherd first. Well, probably should have waited on Shepherd, but not that it really mattered in this case. For sure want to play Mountain Village. Sure want to play Mountain Village. No, it would have actually mattered in this case, because now Mountain Village picks up an estate. It's kind of an anti-synergy, to be honest. So yeah, we're gonna kind of have to play our workshops as Way of the Otters. Or okay, so this is actually an interesting decision. So the reason I don't play Otter here is because I think that I have at least like 2 mountain villages on top, right? And if I have 2 mountain villages, that should be enough for me to that should be enough for me at this moment. So I don't feel as bad for greening. So yeah, and there lies in why I got so many estates. Now there's only one problem here. And close observers might see what's wrong with this hand. I'm being a little sarcastic. So I don't have a mountain village in hand, meaning that this turn is almost dead. Like, it's not dead, but it's pretty dang close. It's a dud turn. Basically, I won't be I can workshop an estate, or I can haggler for 2 cards, but I can't do both, because haggler can't gain a victory card here, so I won't be able to gain an estate, unfortunately. And yeah, my opponent's drawing his deck. This looks really bad for me, you know. And obviously he has pretty amazing turn here. And piles are getting low too, especially with estate, and yeah, it's getting kind of scary, to be honest. At this point, I'm wondering if I use too much Shepherd draw at this point, you know? Or I should have maybe relied more on Shepherd draw because of how strong it is. I may have over relied on Workshop draw or Way of the Otter draw, and that might not have been as great. But I'm just thinking about it at the moment. So he workshops an estate, not really super surprising. So he plays double haggler here as well. So he gets a province. Now he can't get an estate with haggler, but he can get other cards here. At this point, I'm like pretty nervous because I feel like I don't really know what to do. I figured that estates are going to get... I feel like estates are going anyways, so I think that the decision I make here is just go for the estate. Maybe just hope for the best here. But it's not looking great for us. Though... Yeah, because if he provinces again, we might not be able to catch up. Which he doesn't province, which we get pretty lucky on. He's at 7. With a haggler. So he buys a duchy here, and he's going to go for probably a different card. Goes for duchy, wishing well. Alright, so this is really our last. This is really, realistically, the game is going to end pretty dang soon. Right now. Boy. So. Luckily, we draw a mountain village. But we get another one. Now I have to think a little bit. I realize that if I get a shepherd, realizing that I finally realized that I can get a card of workshop, put it in my discard, and then mountain village, put it in my hand. The idea finally occurs to me at this time of this game. Luckily, I don't do that and just trigger a terrible shuffle. Not that it would have mattered, because this is most likely the last turn anyways. Alright. So we're for sure going to play Mountain Village here. Yeah, I mean... Actually, now this might be a good time to do it. Alright, so at this point, after I play the Mountain Village, can you find the win? Can you find the win here? The win is in hand. You don't have to draw any other cards. I just want to see if you can find the win. Yeah, especially from here. I think from here I would pause the video and yeah, just wait to see if you can find it. Alright, so here's the win. So first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to play Workshop and you're going to want to gain an estate. The next thing you're going to want to do is play both of your hagglers. That way, you can buy a province and get the points lead, and with the 2 remaining haggler gains, you can gain both the shepherds and get a 3 pile out, effectively ending the game with an extra point. So the score now is 3-2, and this was a huge win on our part. It was down to the wire and a very close win for us. This put us in a much better position, as in even if we lost the next game, we at least had a game 7, you know. So this is exactly the position we want to be in. And yeah, that was a very close game. And I think, honestly, the most critical game in the entire set here. Alright, so enough about that set. Let's go to this one. So this is a really weird board. And I'm just going to spoil it. I'm going to mess up the opening pretty bad here. So for 3, I'm going to get a stockpile, which is basically, it's almost like a gold with a plus buy that gets exiled the moment you use it. I'm actually going to tell you why I messed up here. So what I open here is I open stockpile blockade. But there's a critical thing I missed on this board, and I didn't look at it close enough. So there is Populate on this board. So Populate is basically an event that if you buy it, you get every action card on the board in your hand. Now, I'm going to spoil it for you. This is a great Populate board. This might be one of the best Populate boards I've seen, honestly, you know. So the goal of your opening should be to hit Populate as soon as possible. Now, because I didn't see that, and I was also seeing Museum gives you 2 points for every different card in, you have. Because I didn't see Populate, I thought that I was going to gain all the different cards with Blockade, and that would be a pretty efficient way of doing it. Only problem is I'm just dead wrong. I should have opened either double stockpile here, maybe stockpile silver. Actually, stockpile hideout. What my opponent did was the right open. Hideout can get a lot of coppers and on one of his stop cards out of your deck. Stockpile will get you the money you need to essentially hit populate, and yeah, really just wasn't the best choice on my end. Yeah, getting a hunter, focusing on deck control, don't really regret that. I just think that I could have done this a lot better. So, also, I should have blockaded stockpile. Really would have stopped my opponent from getting that. But it's okay. So yeah. My opponent gets Menjury, which is a great card, a great draw card. I probably should have got a Menjury myself, personally. I'm just considering that the amount of different cards you're going to get in your hand. And the Menjury is going to be pretty good here. But I go for stockpile instead. So it's 4. My opponent gets a throne room. Makes sense. I'm not really sure what to play here, so I just put the stockpile in hand. But yeah, realistically, probably the play here is Hunter. For me, it would be Hunter stockpile. And that's probably what I'm going to go here, seeing that I would really much like deck control. And that's what I play. Though I think I'm overplaying stockpile for sure. Discard all that from exile. And here's the point. I realize that Populate's on the board. It was a tragic state of affairs when that happened. It's like, oh wait, this card's on the board. Or not a card, it's an event. So, opponent gets a good Menjury hand. And it's also able to throne room Hunter. If really looking like he's gonna hit Populate here, which he does. Also, I'm explaining why Populate is so good on this board. Because of Museum, he's getting 2 points for every different card he has. And for getting all the different action cards, that's, let's see, I think that's 18 points. Because the only stockpile is not an action, but everything else here is an action. So this really is the just get Populate as soon as you can kind of board. Which blockade, unless you're blockading stockpiles, it could have worked, which I wasn't doing. Really wasn't going to work out here. So, yeah. So, yeah, I also throne room. That wasn't a smart move. I really should have stockpiled there. If I stockpiled, I would have hit Populate this turn, and I could have probably had it. I would have been behind for sure, but I could have had a chance of staying in the game. Really, but really just not great plays from my end. Well, we get the Trash Art Curse. Yeah, and also if you haven't noticed, my opponent has 5 actions and a Wine Merchant and an Animal Farm in hand. You can probably guess what's going to happen next. So yeah, I think Blockade could have worked a little bit better if I had gone for Stockpile, but uh, I did not use it for that, and I kind of did pay the consequences. I paid the price. So yeah. Yeah, takes the last stockpile. And he's going to have enough for a second populate. So yeah, the game is over at this point. Uh, I mean, so the only reason I'm also not resigning is because, like, I just, I want to be, I don't want to, like, carry over, like, my mental state from this game over in the next game, you know? I don't just want to rapidly go through this. I kind of just would rather, for me, I would just rather, like, okay, play this out, see if I can get a cheeky win, which very, very unlikely here, but maybe you can do that, you know? But if you don't, you can kind of, like, after you can kind of go through the process of just accepting that you have lost, you know? So, like, instead of, like, just immediately resigning and going to next game 7 being, like, scared of losing, it just be like, I think I was more just trying to accept the fact that I lost and accept the fact and head on to a new game, you know? So that's kind of the reason I'm fighting here a little bit. So I'm ordering it because I feel like this all goes in my discard, right? But like, see, I only ordered it because I thought I could control what goes into my hand next turn. That's not the case. It just goes into my discard in that order. But yeah. Also, there's pretty. Also, this game's already pretty close to 3 piling, because yeah, you can see that stockpile's already out. Hunter's at 2. Throne Room's at 5. The game is already pretty close to over. Though, one thing that keeps hope alive is I at least have one populate in my hand, you know? So it's like. So hopefully, I guess what I'm thinking here is like, if I keep building, right, then maybe I'll be able to do something, you know? Though I wouldn't say it's too likely at this point in the game. Also, most of my deck was based around stockpile, and most of my stockpiles are exiled, or 3 of them are. The other 2 aren't exiled, so yeah. Or I think I have more than 5 here, but still. So yeah, my opponent gets another populate. Really is only going to help him in this case. Now, the only thing that kept hope alive here is that maybe I can, like, squeak by with, like, a pile out in the end of the game. Should have gotten rid of the estate. Would have gave me 12. Wouldn't have been enough to end the game. Wouldn't have been enough to end the game. Obviously, okay. Also should probably, like, state this. The reason I don't go for populate right now is because piles are so low. Basically, all you have, if I hit populate, then, like, all my opponent has to do is just pile out throne rooms and he wins. Obviously, he has really good deck control. A majority of the hunters not great. So the only thing I can think to do here is, like, okay, I have to province, right? Because I mean, there's not gonna be, Because I guess the only thing is, like, I can province, and maybe my best bet is pulling out some sort of cheeky win. Though it's really not practical going back and looking at it, because I played both Animal Fair and a Wine Merchant this turn. Also, if I had trashed the estate, I would have had 12, and I could have got my Wine Merchant back. But you live and learn, I guess. No, also, estate was the wrong move. I should have got silver. I already have estates in deck. Silver at least gets you money. Now this hand is obviously awful, and it's obviously losing at this point. But yeah, my opponent already can basically draw deck. Yeah, plus his throne rooms are doing a lot of work. Or he's at least drawing enough of it that he already has 3 buys in 10 and hasn't even played everything, so yeah. I mean, the game is over at this point. Let's see, could he win this turn? If he got a province, that would put him at 33. Actually, I don't think he can. Well, actually, no. He gets province, right? You have to do that. Well, no, I don't think he can win. You know, what would have been big brain here is if this wouldn't have stopped anything, but if I like blockade throne room and put like made it to where he had to get a curse to like pile that out, that would have been pretty funny. Now that wasn't gonna work realistically. Yeah. Maybe silver curse. No, I should have done. Okay, see, yeah, that was a complete misplay. I should have done it on throne room. But I mean, the game to me was almost already lost at this point, so it's not too bad for me. I'm already like accepted the fact that there's gonna be a game 7, so I'm not really too upset at this point. All right, so clearly at this point he has enough to end the game. 7 buys. You can just, yeah, pile out stuff. Go for green if you want to. Why not? Who cares? I mean, alright, so, yep, it is now 3-3. And now we've gone to game 7. And this is a pretty intense moment because, I mean, it's game 7, you know, at best of 7, and you get to game 7. It's obviously super intense, especially this match here. It's like kind of all on the line right now. My heart's pumping. It's pretty intense, you know. At this point, I'm ready for another game. You know, I'm ready to like just try my hardest this last game. I'm not too discouraged by, you know, the last game. There's some things I could have done better, but I've kind of accepted what it is. And yeah, now we're going into game 7. Super hype. All right. So, none of this errata is going to be super important, but yeah. So going into this game, it's pretty interesting. I'm second player, but I'm not actually super resentful of that because tax is on the board. And I mean, to be fair, I feel like tax evens out really first and second player a lot. I mean, it puts second player with a little bit of an advantage. I still think first turn's gonna have a bit more of an advantage, but with tax, it's a lot more even of a game. So I'm actually pretty happy about that. So my opponent opened silver, and to be fair, I kind of agree with him on this choice because most of the things you're gonna want to get really, like vampire, highwayman, cursed village, charlatan, they all cost 5, and you're none of the other 3 or 4s really look that great for opening. You could do astrolabe, but that just seems wonky. Plus, it has a tax on it. It wouldn't have mattered this turn because I have a 4, but opening double silver is definitely the right thing to do here because just nothing else is really going to be that good. Also, there's very limited terminal space. Like, you have Cursed Village, but literally, you have Cursed Village and you have Necropolis, but that's kind of it, really. It's not super ideal, honestly. And you have cavalry stuff too, but it's not the best. So he taxes charlatan, and this move kind of I'm not gonna lie, it kind of confuses me. Like, cause you can just like vampire is the main card I'm like wanting to go for right now. It just feels like a waste of a turn because I'm gonna get vampire in my deck, right? And I am gonna like buy charlatan at some point, Like, it doesn't. I don't think it's really that great of a move here. I think. So he gets a vampire. I know for certain I want a vampire. And for 4. No, he has 3. No, we both have oasis this turn. So, okay, I get a diluted attack, which means I can't buy any action cards. Now, normally that would be horrible, but like, honestly, it's not bad because I was gonna buy a second vampire anyways, My opponent gets 4. Gets another oasis. It makes sense. For 3, I take a second oasis as well, and I attack him, and now I'm going to take my charlatan. Okay, and also I probably should say this. There's another reason why vampire is like amazing on this board. It's because bat is actually the only form of trashing here. So yeah, and honestly, another thing to keep in mind about vampire is that this board is like already going to be slower, Like with charlatans and stuff, like curses, like things are going to be slowed down a lot. And honestly, as far as cards, like payload cards that do the most for just existing, it's definitely going to be vampire, So I'm thinking that vampire is just going to be incredibly strong here. And yeah. My opponent seems to agree. Now here I'm thinking, here's like an important decision. I already have 2 vampires in deck. Like, what do I want to do here? I have Cursed Village as an option. I have Hunting, what is it? Highwaymen. I was saying Hunting Party for some reason. Highwaymen. I was thinking, like, what the heck do I do? But, honestly, like, I'm leaning towards a 3rd vampire here because it seems just that good on this board, which is kind of weird because like I usually don't do 3 vampires. Like, it's usually 1 or 2, but on here it just looks super amazing. So I'm gonna go for. I'm leaning on the 3rd vampire, but I'm like wondering if I want to go for it. But spoiler alert, I am gonna go for it. So I believe that at this point in the game, I'll have 3 vampires before my opponent has 1, So I think that's a pretty important thing. So I guess another question I ask is like, what are you going to gain with vampires, right? So another thing about vampires is that gaining 5s on here are really good, Like, obviously there's charlatan here, but you also have like Cursed Village and Highwaymen for draw. So it's like, those are going to be very important here. So yeah, So I'm just taking my time to make sure that like I really want to do this, you know, before committing to it. But just because obviously it's also game 7, so it's like, you know, you don't want to throw this game away. So yeah, I definitely go with Vampire. I do not regret my decision there. Um, so yeah. So like the main question on this, I'm like thinking right now here is like what do I do for draw, right? Do I want to do Cursed Village? Do I want to do Highwaymen? Like what looks like the best here? Um, and to be frank, I don't really know. Um, I don't really know at this point. Like I'm feeling Highwaymen, but yeah. Also, Diluted was not the best at this moment, but it's not going to really well, it didn't really matter that much, luckily, here, because draw. Like, even getting diluted, it's probably better to trash those 2 coppers anyways. And honestly, the Locust copper for, like, the curse coin or whatever, like, really is not that bad at all. So, yeah, like, I feel like this is way more brutal. Like, there's no way you have a Cursed Village in hand. So it's like I kind of getting a little bit lucky here with hexes. Um, so yeah, now I'm thinking like Highwaymen or like Cursed Village, and I'm gonna be honest, like I was so close to getting Highwaymen, and that would have been like just so bad for my deck, you know, because like it, I was just nervous about the Cursed Village hex, you know, that you get from getting it, but like I mean, you're realistically here, you're gonna be way better off trying to get a Cursed Village draw than you are trying to get Highwaymen draw. Because Highwaymen, you need more terminal space than you have. And I'm just noticing this. He texted he texted Charlatan twice. I'm very confused by that actually. See, like in the game, I knew he texted Charlatan once, but like texting it twice seems a little bit overdoing it, you know? Like I'm gonna be frank, Tax is not that strong in attack. Like you can like I know that was from way back in the game, but I'm just sort of shocked by that. Like I didn't even notice it in game. I just assumed it was 3 the entire time. Like I was never thinking about getting a second one. But here I am thinking if I want Highwayman or Cursed Village, but I think for sure I want Cursed Village here. Okay. Alright, so I have 2 vampires in hand. That's very good. It doesn't really matter at this point. Now, there's also something else that's really important on this board. On this board, Oasis is a great synergy with Cursed Village because Oasis essentially just allows you to it allows you to discard a card from your hand, like making your deck size smaller, meaning that you can draw more of Cursed Village. So you can kind of discard like either green cards or cards you don't want to have in your hand. So that's just like kind of amazing here. And I get a silver. Okay, that was a very helpful hex. I'm not gonna lie; these are very helpful hexes. You know, it's like yeah, you can trash all my silvers at this point. You know, I don't need them that much. Now, fear's not that bad here. Now we already have a lot of a cursed village, so this is already very good for us. I'm gonna want to get rid of the copper because you're gonna more want to trash the curse if you draw a bat. So yeah, unfortunately you have to use these for like cantrips, which is less than ideal, but that's sometimes what happens with Cursed Village. Yeah, I do draw a bat though, so I'm very happy about that. So I'm gonna be real. I make a mistake here, and luckily I get an undo on this. So obviously with bat, you're gonna want to trash your hand. You're gonna want to trash these cards, right? Like these. But I kind of forget to play my silver actually. So I'm just gonna like give him a little message real quick. It's like, hey, can I it's like, hey, can I play my silver? So yeah. But I'm gonna be weird. I was kind of not sure if I was gonna get the undo here. I'm a little surprised I did. Which I mean very grateful for. Getting an Oasis was a huge deal here. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna buy with my if I am allowed to play the silver. So yeah, he's nice enough to let me undo. No, I mean, yeah, I mean it's the same result either way. I think I accidentally undo too far, but all right. So getting the bat trash was a great bat trash, to be honest. That was a perfect bat hand. I really could not be more happy. And honestly, my opponent gets a miserable too. Not too bad. And honestly, like that delusion doesn't hurt us that bad. We don't have too many silvers in our deck. And plus Charlatan's gonna get us the payload anyways. Yeah, I got a little bit of a decision to make here. So with bat, obviously I have to choose what to trash. Actually, I don't think it was that much of a decision, really here. So he has 4 right now. So he gets a cavalry. I guess having Necropolis, he's able to. Well, no, yeah. No, actually, he's just a Cursed Village, right? Yeah, Cursed Village gives you plus action, so cavalry is definitely an option here. So it's my turn. I'm actually think a little nervous about playing Oasis, so I don't play it this turn. Yeah, I mean, I think for sure I'm going to want the last Cursed Village here, you know. It's not really much thought here. I think I just just making sure I really want to do it. Just really taking my time here. Yeah. Like, I think this would be a faster decision if it wasn't like game 7, you know? It just, you know, so much was on the line here. But yeah, definitely want Cursed Village. Not gonna do anything for the rest of the turn, to be honest. Now, here is where I'm having to think, you know? It's like, okay, do I want to build my deck anymore, you know? And I'm really thinking Duchy here because it's like, okay, like look at the piles right now. Like Oasis is super low, right? So is Curses, and we're for sure gonna curse each other out. You know, we're for sure gonna lower that pile. So now with Cursed Village gone, it piles are actually very low here. So I'm just thinking about what I want to do, and like, yeah, greening here definitely seems like the right thing to do. Um, yeah, and it doesn't help that hex literally just lowered the curse pile. So right now I have a pretty strong points lead, just having probably a really great hand, you know. So he's Oasis, Cursed Village. Okay. I feel like the horses, you know, getting cavalry, at least playing cavalry, like I feel like horses are gonna collide with your deck, you know. It's gonna collide with Cursed Village draw, to be honest. You might have to use less Cursed Village draw because I won the split, but that doesn't make sense. Now, there's another thing. That was a mistake. You don't want to lower Oasis here. Okay. Well, it looks like Diluted actually went into next turn, but it actually didn't seem to matter that much. And yeah, now I have to think of, do I want to play Oasis next or Cursed Village next? I think the only reason I would like to play Cursed Village next because Oasis, you run the risk of discarding something you don't really want to discard, you know? Whereas like Cursed Village, you draw two, you draw a little less, but I mean, you can draw more of your second Cursed Village, so it's not really that bad. So I'm like thinking about it, but I think you definitely want to play your Cursed Village here first, then Oasis Cursed Village, and yeah, maybe you'll get a bad and be able to trash both those curses, but we'll have to see. So I actually do the wrong order, but it's not the end of the world. It works out fine for us in this case. Okay. Now the question I'm asking myself right now is, do I want to trigger the shuffle? You probably wouldn't want to here, because I mean, you very much want to see all your cursed villages, you know. So I think for me, it turn ends here right now. So we're already in a very good spot right here with how this hand's turned out. So we have a vampire and we have 5 money. So we can essentially go up another 2 duchies here, which is huge, and it's huge for a couple of reasons. One, going up 2 duchies, he's probably like going up 2 duchies where we have a points lead, but we're also very close to like a 3 pile out, you know? So, if I get 2 duchies this turn, that means there's only 4 duchies left, and I already have 4 in deck. So it's kind of like, if you get duchies, then with your vampires, then you're lowering the pile, and there's very unlikely you're going to be able to get 4 duchies in one turn. But if you don't get them, you're not going to be able to gain to the points lead I have at this moment, you know? So it's very bad. And I'm not going to lie, I don't understand why the province pile got taxed. I just don't think tax is super strong here, you know? If anything, if I were going to use tax, I probably would have taxed Vampire personally. I feel like it's I guess it's the strongest card on this board, to be honest, you know? So, and I guess, yeah. Not, either way, it's, you know, hindsight's 2020. So, here I'm going to double duchy. I just thinking about it. Now, of course, and even realistically, the 1 dead's not going to hurt me that bad. you know, and I trashed an Oasis, which is probably not great for you, but yeah. Playing that charlatan was kind of a mistake. I will be the first to tell you that, because so like you may ask, why is that a mistake? So that's lowering the piles just when you don't need to, you know? I don't know if he sees the piles are super low at the moment, you know? Maybe he sees it now, but like um taking giving me that curse just puts me closer to ending the game, which really favors me more, to be honest. So I can get rid of the bat, you know. At this point I'm not super concerned if about getting vampires. I already have a pretty sizable lead. I have an 8-point lead, which is not, it's not an invincibility thing, but like it's still kind of a big deal, to be honest. Alright, so yeah, obviously we have a ton of duchies in our deck, but at this point it doesn't super matter that much. So we can get another duchy here, go up to 10, and get our vampire. It's getting basically to the point where the game is pretty much over here. And now this turn, it looks even worse for the opponent, because like he can't, if he charlatans me, that's not good for him, you know. He doesn't, and even with 7, there's not a lot he can do. If he gains a duchy, I can just gain a duchy, you know, and honestly win. Like if he had 8, you know, it'd be a little. If he had 8, it'd be a little bit of a different story, you know. Then it would be very bad. That would have been very bad for me. Let's see, how much would he have had? He would, if he had got, he would have got off 12. Actually, it would have been bad either way. I still probably could have won, I think. At this point, I'm not really concerned. I can get the win. With Charlatan in my hand, I basically have the win here. And yeah, all I have to do is buy Oasis, and that's it. And dang. So yeah, a pretty intense kind of games, you know? Those were some pretty challenging games, and to be honest, like games 3 and 5 were on the knife's edge, you know, just very close overall, and it was just kind of crazy. I was not expecting to win. I was expecting to come in and do the absolute best I can, but just winning here was just incredible, you know. And against an opponent like that, it kind of just showed that like it was good for me, because I showed that like I had the ability to play like top tier Dominion, you know, and like I feel like that was a great confidence booster, and I was just super happy about that win. And I guess the last thing is, with that last game, a lot of hexes really did end up helping me, you know, so that was helpful. But I also do think that our strategy did end up pinning out in that game, so that was really cool as well to have that work out. But yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and I will try to get my next matchup as soon as I can. And yeah, thanks for watching.